How to deal with termites. Don't lose your property to these small, voracious xylophagous insects. By Owen Jones. Narrated by Kim Summers. Published by TekTime. Chapter 1. Termite Damage and Property Prices. You can put termite damage, or even the suspected possibility of termite damage, right up there with the worst things you can imagine for your property. Just imagine if you were looking at a house that you liked and you saw a section of timber that looked suspect, or if a termite walked past your nose. The vendor may protest that the damage was made by carpenter ants years ago, and that they have long since been eradicated, or that the termite was the first he'd ever seen. But would you believe him? He may sign an affidavit there and then with the property agent as a witness, but would that put you at your ease? I doubt it. There are fake certificates, there are termite controllers who do a less than perfect job. In short, there are all sorts of scams and bogus firms going around. We've all heard the rumors. This is why even the slightest suspicion of termite presence is like the kiss of death to a decent price for your property, even though there may be absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. And that termite may have just flown in the window for a rest on its way south for the winter. The problem is, of course, the restitution of the damage caused by the termites, not the little critters themselves, because they are easily killed, once you know that they are there. A bona fide termite controller whose contact details you obtain from their governing body will eradicate the termites for between $1,500 and $4,000. Source: Termites in Arizona, The Termite Treatment Guide 2023. But then you may need a builder to fix the house, and that could cost what? $5,000, $20,000, $50,000? Who knows until after a survey and a firm builder's quote. So with all the repossessed properties on the market, why would you bother? The fact is simply that most people would not bother. If the survey says suspected termite damage or even possible termite presence, buyers will head for the next property on their list, no matter how much they liked yours the most. Let's face it, you would too, if the situation were reversed, wouldn't you? Most people would not wait for a full survey, and would certainly not want to pay for or even contribute to one, because in the case of termite damage, they have to be very thorough. Access will be required to not only the attic and the basement, that is quite standard practice anyway, but checks will have to be made into any timber supports, the foundations, and the cavity between the skins of the walls. The survey itself will cost a lot of money. However, although this full survey will reveal every wart that the property has, it will not put any of them right. That is where the big money comes in, because you will never sell your house once a survey exists that confirms the presence of termites. Therefore, if you are in the market for buying a home, check whether termites are a problem in that area. If they are, then insist that the vendor provides a survey which details the damage and the cost of repairing it. On the other hand, if you are hoping to sell your property and you live in a termite-infested area, get the survey done before you put the house up for sale. Or better still, maintain a contract with specialist termite controllers so that you can show that your property has had a clean bill of health for years. Chapter 2. Termite Deterrence. Every homeowner has to look after their investment. This requires maintenance, regular and thorough maintenance. There are many threats to a structure, especially if there is a considerable amount of timber in it. Most properties have a great deal of wooden components. The rafters in the roof, the joists underneath the floors, and the casing behind the plasterboard walls are all subject to attack by mold and insects. The kinds of dangers that your house faces depends on the average temperature where you live. Wet rot and dry rot are pretty universal, as is attack by wasps, but the worst and fastest working peril is from termites, and they only live in warmer climes. If you live in a termite sector, then you really have to look out for these insects. If you want to delay your checks, you can use termite deterrents and poisons to make your maintenance program a little easier. This will entail spreading chemicals in most cases, as they are more potent and longer lasting. These chemicals should be laid down or sprayed wherever termites are likely to commence an attack on the structure of your home. This essentially means
Sample complete. Ready to continue?